Good morning. Starting off with the disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor. Nothing in this video is financial advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any financial product. All content is for informational purposes only based on personal opinions and experiences. Trading futures, options, and other financial instruments involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for every investor. You can lose more than your initial investment, so always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial professional. Okay. News today, we've got PPI. Basically, 8:30 news is the important stuff today. Looks like we've got a lot ahead of the pre-open. A lot of PPI, a lot of Philly Fed, PPI, retail sales. So we do have a Fed chair speaker at 8:40, which is worth at least watching out for pre-open. He usually doesn't talk for too long, so he may be done pre-open or just after we open in CL, but worth watching out for. And then industrial production month over month, 9:15. And then business inventories and NAHB housing market index at 10 a.m. So a lot of one-star events. But nothing super crazy, I think, at least. So we'll see how it goes. And then tomorrow we've got Michigan consumer sentiment. All right, so going to the pre-market sheet, as you can see here, big gap lower. You could kind of tell from this day. Basically, yesterday I had no trades. I had no trades yesterday. We were pretty much fully sideways. We had a neutral day, meaning we broke both the IB high and the IB low. We broke IB high by one tick here, and then we could never reclaim it, but we broke IB low a couple times, and then again into the start of the overnight. But yeah, pretty much a nothing burger day, so pullbacks obviously were not in play today, and so I had no trades. But yeah, as you can see, big gap lower, so we're obviously opening in a balanced condition. We also clearly ended the one time framing higher on the daily. So now we're not one time framing on the daily or the weekly. Yeah, we're obviously opening in an imbalanced condition. We were having good overlap upwards with some sort of aggressive upward action in the middle. There was no gap yesterday. This is the new swing high. Now that you've gap lower, this is the new swing high. So this swing high is weak, very weak, in all regards. So, yeah, very weak swing high. You've got pretty much very weak swing high, weak-ish swing low, very weak swing high, pretty weak swing low. So everything is weak. Nothing has been cleanly rejected at all. But yeah, so as for yesterday, like the swing high, there's no excess, very weak high and low on the excess. This was almost, or it was a triple TPO high at one point, but then we extended the IB by one tick. Yeah, does the prior session have an excess high or low? Yeah, I went through that. There's nothing. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. As for key levels, so below us, not much below us. We haven't been here in a while. We've got overnight low. We've got this naked stuff here. We've got, there is a gap in here, which would be easier to show on the TPO. It's a very small gap, though, so it's fine. I'll leave it. Yeah, overnight low below us, gap, naked stuff, prior weeks of VPOC, and some singles. So basically just poor structure that needs to get fixed up is all we have below us. Sorry, 1 second. There, now that's a bit cleaner, eh? Yeah, as for above us, we've got full session DGPs, full session VWAP, full session mid, overnight VPOC. I guess that's below us right now, but we've got naked stuff here. We've got double TPO high. We've got prior week settle, which is still naked. Yeah, we've obviously got the half gap wherever, somewhere in here. We've got gap close at yesterday's low. And we've got overnight high and settle. So a lot more above us, but yeah, obviously we're coming off of a big move lower, so we'll see. Yeah, so those are the key levels, so we can go into the action quickly. Gap days, as we know, are pretty straightforward for me. This is pretty clear, though. I think we could go either way. There's, I guess, ideas that support both. The way I'm seeing this right now is if you look at the profile sort of like this, or I'll go to the 30-minute because it may be a bit easier. So don't mind the busyness, I know, because this isn't just a plain 30-minute. Or actually, I'll do this as well. Make it a bit less busy. Which ones are those getting rid of? I can't even tell. These are mine. There. So we'll just keep it naked for now. Yeah, so as you can see, as we sort of zoom out on the 30-minute perspective, you've clearly been balanced, right? Clearly been balanced in this big range. So basically, we're looking at balance from like basically, oh my goodness, my Epic Pen. My Epic Pen doesn't want to draw today. Epic Pen is not being epic right now. Come on. Why are we frozen? Alright, sorry about that. All fixed. So as you can see, we've pretty clearly been balancing from these two broader ranges. So we've been within this sort of range for a while now. This is 30 minutes, so this goes back to early April, as you can see. So about a month we've been balancing in here, and so you just came off testing this prior swings high, which was somewhere in here. I think in here, because this includes the full session. I think this was overnight. But you just came off rejecting the swing high from this push. And so the thing now that I want to know at least is you can sort of see, at least from this portion, we sort of split the profiles, right? The profiles kind of split. The profiles kind of split from here, right? So we want to see in this 60s area, do we bounce for a pullback continuation, or do we break through and continue lower to check the low side of the balance? Because when we're moving in balance, all the market does is go from one side to the other. We go from high to low, from low to high, from high to low, from low to high, and it's just checking, right? But the time we check, but we actually have the intention to break out, is the only one that matters for the actual directionalness, right? So this reaction here, right in the 60s area, pretty much, it's basically 60. You can see, and there's a lot more volume above, which is worth mentioning as well. You can clearly tell from this line. But yeah, what we really want to see is, do we come down to these 60s and bounce for continuation? Because we do have a very weak high, right? We do have a very weak high, so we know that will go eventually. But it doesn't have to be now. So does it bounce, or does it continue lower to check the low side of the balance, right? So that will be the important thing. The important thing. And we're about a point away from the 60s level. So I will put myself, just for myself so I don't forget, a little zone here. Yeah, like basically like this. Move this one up a bit. There, see, basically like that. So it's basically a stock zone, but this one's important. Yeah, so that's the big thing I'll be looking for. And you can see it as well on the daily. You can clearly see this balance, right? Maybe I should have just done it on the daily. It's a bit harder to see this, but you can still sort of see it right in the 60s areas where we were getting consistent support / resistance. And so potentially this is just the magnet zone that pulls us back in, but we want to see, are we staying above it? Are we staying below it? Are we respecting it? Are we bouncing off of it? Are we breaking through it? Are we not respecting it? You know, like, it'll be an important area in that sense to answer those sorts of questions with the, I guess, actual market intentions. Yeah, and so as for TPO, like, as far as gap days go, my day's pretty much the same. We could still have a reversion day where we come up and we fix this all up before continuing lower, and have more of a gap reversion type of day or gap and go type of day, which just continues lower, which could be the case if we want these 60s aggressively. Leading away from a nothing burger day today because this is quite a large gap. We could always be, because like I just said, we are overall in balance, so none of this is new range. So pretty much any day when we're in balance has the possibility to be balanced, you know? So, but because we're in such a large gap today and we've got good volume and good range already, I lean to the side of imbalance for today. But it's worth noting that we could be sideways anywhere in here. But yeah, so like gap and go, gap and revert are going to be the main two scenarios for the day. So why don't we just get to drawing? Drawing. I am going to switch this to a 1.5 here quickly. I use the P&F charts, but when it's a 1.4 is pretty small. And so when crude actually moves, it gets a bit busy. So yeah, so that looks better. We will leave it like this. And we will get rid of these for now. This is no longer overnight VPOC. That was yesterday's. Okay. So we want up to the gap close on the high side and really up to the 60s on the low side. So we've got the 60s key test. We've got prior week's VPOC here. And then some more naked stuff below us. We've got overnight low. We've got overnight VPOC. We've got full session DGPs, which could be a good gauge today. And then really we've got overnight low, yesterday's low settle. Yeah, and the naked stuff, which I'm not going to draw a thing for all of them. Overnight high, yesterday's low, settle, full session DGPs, overnight VPOC, overnight low. I'm just going to say key test. And prior week VPOC. Yeah, so we're already at 15 minutes, so I'll get to drawing. So gap and go, or gap and revert type scenario. Obviously, we know how it looks. Good push, like from where we are now, obviously, the most ideal is the good push. above overnight VPOC, pulls back, holds to continue. Once you get above full session DGPs, if you're staying above, it looks good for the gap and revert. We could see some more grindy chop action higher, but if you're maintaining prices above DGPs, then it looks good for continuation higher in my eyes. It gets you above this sort of LVN zone as well, which is nice. So it lines up right now, but obviously the DGPs move, so they could be in different spots by the time we open, but we'll see. Full session DGPs will be a key resistance because you had a pretty big overnight, and the overnight action right now is dominating this move overall. So we want to watch out for the full session DGPs. And then obviously up here we do have the potential to roll over, but this is a point away, so we may not see it today. And then for the gap and go day, basically again, overnight low sort of becomes yesterday's low, so an early break of overnight low / pullback that holds below VPOC is always the most ideal. So like break, pullback, holds VPOC, continues. And then below overnight low, it's pretty much just zone to zone like it normally is during gap days. We don't have much down here, but this 60s will be key. The reaction here at least will be key for at least how the narrative shapes up in a bit of a larger time frame, right? So yeah, we'll definitely be paying attention to the 60s today. Boom, boom, boom. And overnight obviously could post support as well. And that's pretty much it. That's basically the plan for the day. Like I said, anything below the 60s is really just zone to zone. And if we get the gap and revert day, then VPOC and full session DGPs will be, that's what I'll be watching on a reversion day and how those levels are being respected. Like I said, we do have bigger volume and range today, so we want to watch out for OTF. If they're involved and day time frame levels are not being respected, then really just sit aside. Like if this test of the 60s area brings in some OTF participants, just sit aside unless it's, super clear and it gives you a clean setup to get onto. But because I lean on DGPs for my pullbacks, you usually don't get OTF pullbacks to day time frame DGPs. They usually happen in other places. It's more of a structured pullback type of move. But yeah, that's the plan for today. Hope it was thorough enough to understand, and I will be back at the end of day to go through any trades. So I will see you then.